and we get in the car, in this Mercedes, and I get in the front, and Father gets in the back with his cousin and my wife, and we go to Tina Lena, and we pull up in front of the statue of St. Francis, and there's no one around, and he gets out of the car. His name is Joe. He said, "I'll be right back." And so Father's in the back, Father Joyce, and he says, "We're not going to see Father Yoso." I turned around and I said, "For a priest, you got very little faith." Finally, he signals us to go in, and we meet Father Yoso. And so he prays over Father Joyce, he prays over his cousin, he prays over my wife, and then he's going to pray over me. Now, I'm wanted by the FBI, and that's on my mind. He puts his hands on my head, and then he pulls his hands off, and he says in perfect English, "Come with me." I figured Jesus told him I'm wanted, and he's bringing me someplace to get me arrested. You laugh, but that's what I was thinking of. But it wasn't that. He brought me in the back room and introduced me to these priests. And so I wondered why he did that. When he put his hands on my head, I was scared that he'd know something. So I said to our Lord, "Send this blessing to a little boy in Africa that could never get a blessing like this." Do you know God heard that blessing, that prayer? And Jesus sent me 2 priests from Uganda, Father Joseph and Father Anthony, and we adopted them. And so they're our sons. So we have 2 priests for sons. So God answers prayers. I said, "Send this blessing to a little boy in Africa." God blessed them twice. So after that, we couldn't find a house, so we stayed in an apartment. And finally, I said to my wife, "Let's go on Apparition Hill." The priest said, Mother Mary's going to appear to Yvonne at 10 o'clock, but we got to get there at 9 o'clock. It's dark. So we go up on this hill, and there's 50 people, me and Barbara, and 20 Croatian young people, and the visionary's name was Yvonne. And so they're about 50 feet away, and they're praying and singing. And I was kneeling down. Okay. We were kneeling by the pile of, by the cross and the pile of rocks where the Virgin Mary first appeared. And I didn't expect anything to happen to me and my wife. But I was praying. And this is the prayer I prayed. I said, God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Moses, do you know I'm here? I don't know why I said that, but I felt a hand come under my chin. I didn't see the hand, but I felt it. And it lifted my head up. And God sent His Holy Mother. And to my eyes, it was daytime. And she was absolutely beautiful. And so I went to go to tell everybody I want to do this. But my hand wouldn't go any further than this. And now I can't talk. I can't move my hand. And I can't take my eyes off her. And so as loud as I could, I touched my wife because she was kneeling and praying like this. And as loud as I could say it, I said, Barbara, look up and tell me what you see. And she looked up, and she started to cry, and I'm crying. There were tears of joy. And I went from being absolutely disgusted and depressed to joyful. And so we both seen her. She didn't say anything to us, but we went from being unhappy to very joyful. And so I said to my wife, we're going to go back to and face the music. When I was kneeling down, I heard a voice, and it said, "Tell the priest what you saw." Now the priest was kneeling 20 feet behind me. Now remember, I'm wanted by the FBI, and now I'm going to tell the priest. So I go back and kneel down, and I said, "Father, could I go to confession?" He said, "Yes." So I blessed myself, and I said, "Father, did you see anything?" He said, "No." And so I tell him, and he's a Catholic priest. He says, "You have to help me. You have to tell 2 people what you saw." I said, "Are you a Catholic priest?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Well, don't you know the rules? Or you just become a priest? You don't talk about confession." He said, "I know the rules," he said, "but these 2 people have to hear what happens to me." I said, "Look, I'm wanted by the FBI." And the priest right away smiled. He said, "I knew it. He didn't know nothing." So I told these 2 guys, and they both had conversions. And I'll jump ahead. Many things happened there. A woman walked up to me and Barbara, and we didn't know the woman. And she said to me, "Do you want to know your guardian angel's name?" And I said, "Yeah." I was very skeptical, you know. And so she said, "Your guardian angel," she didn't know my name. She said, "Your guardian angel's name is Frederick, and your wife's guardian angel's name is Barbara." "No, it's Patricia." Your name is Barbara. Cut that out. So, I didn't like Frederick. I didn't tell her later. She said, but she looked at me and she said, "You don't believe me, do you?" I don't want to tell her I didn't believe it, but I said, "Nah, not really." She said, "Well, if you want to check and see if it's Frederick, you have to go to Mass, and when the priest puts the host on your tongue, and you ask Jesus," you can all do this, it works. "Ask Jesus, before you go up and receive Jesus, 'Please, Lord, would you tell me the name of my guardian angel?' And when the priest puts the host on your tongue, you'll hear an audio voice. No mumbling inside. You'll hear audio. The name of your guardian angel." This is a woman told me that, so I went to Mass. Prayed. Went up. Nothing. I said, maybe I did it wrong. "Barbara, I'm going to stay for the next Mass." So Barbara went out. The visionary was outside. I stayed for the second Mass, was in Croatian, and I prayed, went up, received Jesus, nothing. I said, "What's wrong with me?" I didn't know you couldn't have 3 Masses. They had 1 more Mass. It was Italian Mass. And I said, "I'm Italian, so I'm staying." So I knelt all the time. When they stood, I stood. But when they sat, I knelt. And I'm begging Jesus. Finally, when I went up the 3rd time, and the priest put the host on my tongue, I heard an audio voice, and it wasn't Frederick. Yeah, it was James. I said, "Well, I like that. It's not Frederick." No. I go inside and tell my wife, "My guardian angel's name is James." I like that name. Well, let me tell you, I'll jump ahead. Frederick is my guardian angel. I received James in Medjugorje, and I found out later that James was given to me by our Lord to help me on my journey. Frederick's been my guardian angel all my life. And Patricia was my wife's guardian angel, but she received the second guardian angel, St. Michael. Now, we're in Medjugorje, and we're going to go back. And we get on the... I'm trying to think of anything else happened. Many things happened there. We get on the plane, and we're flying back to New York. We're about 36,000 feet in the air. And it's a 747.